Afternoon.
Leading our news, a Great Falls man will spend the next 5 years in prison for inflicting serious injuries on his infant child. Travis Gallway was sentenced to 10 years with the Department of Corrections, with 5 of those years suspended. It was last fall when Gallway was charged with breaking his 3-month-old daughter's leg and fracturing her rib. Gallway told police the baby was being fussy, so he straightened out her legs and bent them up past her head while twisting at the same time. Then he heard a pop. When he eventually brought the infant to the emergency room, doctors also discovered a fractured rib. Gallway said he accidentally squeezed his daughter too hard a month before. Gallway made a binding plea agreement with the court prior to today's sentencing. He has spent time in prison before on both drug and escape convictions.
Helena police are investigating the suspicious disappearance of a 22-year-old woman whose 2 young children were left alone at Helena's YWCA. Angelica Melody Gray was last seen yesterday around 5 p.m. She's been staying at the YWCA since May with her 2 kids. Gray's keys and her children's car seats were found next to her pickup truck in the snow this morning. Her children were left unattended in her room.
The children appeared at the door of one of the other residents, knocking on the door. They're 3 years old and one is 9 months old, and had been alone all night, indicated they didn't know where their mother was. The car seats for the children are outside on the sidewalk. The keys for her vehicle are in the car seat. The vehicle's still there. Her purse is still there. Her cell phone's still there. And we're asking for the public's help on trying to locate her.
Gray is 5 feet 11 inches tall, about 145 pounds, with green eyes and brown hair. She was last seen wearing a gray skirt, gold-colored shirt, and calf-high boots. If you have any information, contact Helena Police or Crime Stoppers.
Accommodating the homeless population in Great Falls is becoming increasingly difficult as the number of people living on our streets soars. Thankfully, help has arrived at the Great Falls Rescue Mission just when it's needed most. The mission just converted its optometry room into additional sleeping quarters, but they depend on community generosity to make the room welcoming and comfortable. The Men of Faith from Faith Lutheran Church came to the rescue, donating 14 bunk beds. Sleep City donated 10 mattresses. The mission's executive director says the donation could not have come at a better time.
You're talking about, like 16 people, 16 people that either would have to be on the floor. We do accommodate people and put a sleeping bag down or a cot down or something like that. But now they can be up off the floor and have a place to stay in a room by themselves.
Kaiser reminds us the need is very great this time of year and that the mission always welcomes food and clothing donations, especially around Christmas.
Snow is still falling in parts of north central Montana, slowing drivers and creating slick roads.
Meteorologist Mike Rollins is tracking the snow. Mike, how much longer will it last?
I think it's going to be wrapping up very quickly here in the next hour or two. Still getting some reports of snow in the mountains. You don't see a lot happening here on Storm Tracker Doppler radar, but a couple of flurries and snow showers moving through maybe northern Choteau County, there, southern Hill County, and also the mountains of central Montana, the Little Belts out toward Lewistown. Still getting some snow coming down, so slow down if you have to travel this evening. We'll look ahead to a pretty quiet forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes. Katie, Tim.
All right, thanks, Mike. If you ask the state, they will say their computer network is secure and taxpayers' private information is safe.
However, a former state employee tells us he's concerned about the safety of confidential information. MTN's Marnay Banks has more.
Robin Jackson used to run the Department of Labor's IT division. He now owns a private firm in Helena which helps businesses protect against hackers. In a presentation at Montana's IT conference, he said there are weaknesses to the state's network.
The state of Montana is a big target, and it's probed and tested continually by a bunch of people with different motivations.
Jackson says it's everything from hobby hackers to sophisticated hackers from Russia and China.
And for the most part, I think the state of Montana's network is secure from casual attempts to try to enter it. But like I said in my presentation, if you have data that people want, they will spend the time and invest the effort to get to that data.
The state's network contains everything from personal tax information to business filings and even criminal investigation information. They run a decentralized system, which means each agency is essentially controlling its own security with some coordination and help from the Department of Administration.
From my perspective, the only safe environment is one that's unplugged, but we can't survive that way in this day and age. Everything needs to be plugged in, and so we have to put what we believe in place, those protections to make sure that we minimize the risk.
Pizzini says just last month, the state successfully protected taxpayer data from 900 million hacking attempts. Pizzini says it's hard to know how many successful attempts there are because each agency tracks that data separately. Jackson says he remembers one troubling incident in particular.
2011, that we had a proliferation of Russian crimeware, Spy Eye and Zeus was running kind of through the network, wasn't able to be identified readily. Probably about I think 23% detection rate.
Jackson says these incidents need to be reported to law enforcement. Pizzini couldn't comment about how breaches are handled other than to say if someone's personal information has been compromised, the state will contact that person immediately.
We take security and the protection of data very seriously in our organization, and we do want to ensure that that data is protected as best as it can.
Jackson says there are ways the state could do a better job, and some of that requires funding, something he says historically has been a low priority. But he says when compared to the risks, it's a worthy investment. In Helena, Marnay Banks, MTN News.
Well, after sitting empty for several years, an iconic Great Falls restaurant is torn down. Workers spent the day leveling the old Burger Master building on the west side. The property is owned by MRO Incorporated. Partner Doug Pelagi tells us they do not have a firm plan on what they'll do with the property yet, but that there's been a lot of interest in it. He says they may have something going in by the end of the next year. Burger Master was a staple for Great Falls fast food for more than 50 years. The old 10th Avenue South Burger Master was torn down in 2008, and that property now houses Sonic. Families at Benefis Health System welcomed 6 babies into the world on this very special day, 12-12-12.
The state, when all of the numbers match up, is cause for celebration around the world, including a few local schools where 3 youngsters celebrated their 12th birthday today.
KRTV's Tara Grimes sat down with the students to find out how they're celebrating this ultimate golden birthday.
For months now, 6th grader Carter Carroll has known this day was coming.
My mom brought it up like 3 months ago.
A statistical anomaly in which he won't see again in his lifetime.
I'm turning 12 on the 12th day, the 12th month of the 12th year.
But Carroll isn't the only one.
We'll increase your score. I forgot to
Across town, Kiana Swan and Jacob Karlstad are celebrating too.
It makes me kind of happy and excited and stuff.
One of my cousins told me, actually, a while back when I was like 11 or 10.
For each of these 12-year-olds, however, the excitement extends beyond the abundance of 12s. They say it's about spending time with their families and receiving presents.
Tonight we might do some of my presents, and my mom's gonna, we're gonna go out to the 3D tonight, and my grandma Luella's making me a homemade cake with her homemade ice cream. She's an awesome baker.
Just have dinner and dessert, and then go to wrestling practice.
Some of my friends are coming over and they're gonna hang out.
And it also means they are 1 year closer to being a teenager.
I'm looking forward to it. Drive.
Excited, but then again nervous because I'll be in middle school and switching classes and hearing about that if you don't get to class on time then you get detention. So, not too sure about that.
But for now, these 3 say they're going to focus on the present, celebrating this once-in-a-lifetime event. In Great Falls, Tara Grimes, MTN News.
I'm guessing most of them have no idea the significance of this day. Later on, they might know, and maybe we'll send our great-great-grandkids to cover the story when they turn 112 on 2112. What do you think about that? No?
I'm just trying
really
to soak
looking
it all
ahead.
in and
I know, it is a lot of numbers, a lot
days.
of weird things people are talking about when the next one will come around. Very interesting.
Shannon Newth's favorite number, 13, not happening for her.
No.
She's kind of bummed about that.
We'd
But
have to
12 is my favorite number, so.
Well,
Aaron Rodgers.
it's a big day for Mike Rollins.
Aaron Rodgers, there you go. 40 degrees for a high today in Great Falls International after a morning low of 32. We've seen a trace of precipitation. That was the light snow moving through. We'll talk about what you can expect for the days to come next.